Hi everyone, I am Victor and welcome to AK Next Gen Vibes. If you've ever sent or received money internationally, you may have heard about SWIFT and MT103. But what exactly is MT103 and why is it so important? In today's video, I'll explain what MT103 is, why banks use it, how an international payment flows through the banking system, the key MT103 fields, and how MT103 compares with a new ISO 20022 standard. So, without further ado, let's get started. Every day, millions of international payments move across the world. But have you ever wondered what message tells banks exactly where to send your money? The answer is MT103. It is one of the most important SWIFT messages used for customer payments worldwide. Let's understand how it works. Here's what we'll learn today. What is MT103? Why is it used? How does an MT103 payment flow work? Are the most important MT103 fields? A real-life payment example. And finally, MT103 versus ISO 20022. Let's begin. What is MT103? MT103 is a standardized SWIFT message used by banks to transfer money from one customer to another across international borders. Think of MT103 as a payment instruction. It tells banks exactly how to process an international payment securely and accurately. It is used for customer credit transfers between banks around the world. Why MT103? Imagine receiving an international payment without any instructions. The receiving bank wouldn't know. Who sent the payment? Who should receive it? How much money needs to be transferred? Which currency should be used? Or who is responsible for paying the transfer charges? MT103 solves this problem by providing a common language that every bank on the SWIFT network understands. Real payment example. Let's take a simple example. John lives in Sydney, Australia. He wants to send money to Rahul, who lives in Mumbai, India. John visits ANZ Bank and requests an international transfer. ANZ Bank creates an MT103 message and securely sends it through the SWIFT network. SBI Bank in India receives the message and credits Rahul's account. This process is known as a customer credit transfer. MT103 payment flow. Here's how the payment flows. First, the customer requests an international transfer. Next, the sending bank creates the MT103 message. The message travels securely through the SWIFT network. The receiving bank processes the instruction. Finally, the beneficiary receives the payment. Notice that SWIFT carries the payment instructions, not the money itself. MT103 message structure. Every MT103 message follows a standardized structure. Each section begins with a field tag. Some of the most important fields include Field 20, Field 23B, Field 32A, Field 50K, Field 59, and Field 71A. Each field contains a specific piece of payment information. Important fields. Let's quickly understand these fields. Field 20 contains the transaction reference number. Field 23B contains the bank operation code. Field 32A specifies the value date, currency, and amount. Field 50K identifies the ordering customer. Field 59 identifies the beneficiary. Field 71A specifies who pays the transfer charges. These fields allow banks to process payments accurately and efficiently. Field 20. Field 20 contains the transaction reference number. For example, TRX 2025071400001. Every payment has its own unique reference number. Banks use this reference to identify and track the payment throughout its journey. Field 23B. Field 23B contains the bank operation code. The most common value is CRED. CRED stands for Customer Credit Transfer. This tells the receiving bank that the message contains a customer payment. Field 32A. Field 32A contains three important pieces of information. First, the value date. Second, the currency. Third, the amount. For example, 250,714 USD, 1,000.00. This means the payment value date is July 14, 2025. The currency is US dollars, and the transfer amount is 1,000 US dollars. Customer information. MT103 clearly identifies both parties involved in the payment. The ordering customer is John. His details include his account number, address, and bank. The beneficiary is Rahul. His details include his account number and receiving bank. These details ensure that the payment reaches the correct recipient safely and accurately. Charges. Field 71A specifies who pays the transfer charges. There are 3 options. R means the sender pays all transfer charges. SHA means the charges are shared between the sender and the receiver. BEN means the beneficiary pays the transfer charges. This field determines the final amount that the beneficiary receives. MT103 versus ISO 20022. Let's compare MT103 with ISO 20022. MT103 is text-based. ISO 20022 uses XML. MT103 is considered the legacy messaging standard. ISO 20022 is the modern global standard. MT103 supports limited payment information. ISO 20022 supports much richer and more structured data. Banks around the world are gradually migrating from MT103 to ISO 20022 to improve automation, compliance, and payment transparency. Let's quickly recap today's lesson. MT103 is a payment instruction. It does not physically move money. Instead, it tells banks who is paying, who is receiving, how much money should be transferred, which currency should be used, and who will pay the transfer charges. Understanding MT103 is essential for anyone working in banking, finance, international trade, or payment systems. In our next video, we'll explore MT202 and learn how banks settle payments with one another. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helped you understand how SWIFT MT103 works and why it plays such an important role in international banking. If you found this video useful, please give it a like, leave a comment with your questions or suggestions, and subscribe to AK Next Gen Vibes for more easy-to-understand tutorials on banking, finance, and technology. I'm Victor, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy learning!